Hello everyone. In today's video, we will be solving some more percentage problems. I want you to try and solve these problems on your own. So you're going to pause the video and try to solve them in your notebook. Before you do, I would like to point out something in case you don't know. In case you don't know what the unemployment rate of a place is, of a population, the unemployment rate is what percentage of the population is unemployed. They do not have a job. They're not employed. Okay. Also, if you don't know what gasoline is, in case you don't know, it's what we put in the car so it can run. Okay, so write these down in your notebook and solve them, and then come back to the video. Pause the video in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so if you're back, that means you solved them. Let's see if you solved them correctly. Problem 1 says the price of gasoline was 1.5 euros per liter last week and fell by 10%. What's the price of gasoline now? So, what we know is that last week, which is obviously the beginning, the start, the price of gasoline was 1.5 euros. So in reality, it was 1.5. Oh, sorry, that should be 5. That's the beginning reality. That's the actual price in the beginning. And we also know that it fell by 10%. So the percentage change is 10%. So in the end, instead of 100%, which it was in the beginning, it was what? The difference between these two. So 90%. And it's asking us how expensive gasoline was now, after the 10% decrease in its price, which means that we're looking for this. This box here that I'm going to leave empty is how much cheaper it got. So it's that 10% that we're no longer paying. Like last week, we take the cross product of these two. Oh, sorry, let's get some red. We take this cross product. So 100x must be equal to 90 times 1.5. 100x must be equal to 90 times 1.5. Okay, great. Which means that 100x needs to be equal to 90.5. Let's see how much that makes. You can do that division vertically if you want to in your notebook. But just to avoid time, this makes 135. So if 100x makes 135, then x must be 135 divided by 100, which makes 1.35. So now the actual price is 1.35, meaning 1 euro and 35 cents. So my answer should be gasoline now costs 1.35 euros per liter. If you didn't put the per liter part, that's okay. It's the most correct, but I don't think it would be wrong. I wouldn't count it as wrong if you forgot this part, basically. Let's move on to the next problem. It says, I bought a shirt at 40% discount and paid 18 euros. How much did the shirt cost initially? So we know that we got a 40% discount. That's minus 40. What did we pay? What percentage of the shirt did we pay? Since we took off 40%, that means we actually paid 60% in the end. And we know that in the end, the real price after the discount was 18 euros. And we're looking for this. How much did the shirt cost without the discount? So this is my unknown. This empty box here is what I didn't pay. So this is what I would have put the unknown here if it asked me, how much did I not pay? Okay, so let's see. I'll take the cross product again. So 100 times 18 needs to be equal to 60 times x. So we would say that 60x needs to be equal to 100 times 18, meaning that 60x needs to be equal to 1800 or 1800. So x, if I did this division, 1800 divided by 60, what I would get is 30. So the initial price of the shirt was 30 euros. Let's move on to problem 3. In a city with a population of 500,000, the unemployment rate is 9%. What that means is that 9% of the 500,000 people do not have a job, basically. And it asks how many people are not employed, which means how many people don't have a job. So I know that there are 500,000 people in reality, and I want to take 9% of that. So I know that the total is 100%, 500,000, and I want 9% of that. I want to know what that is. So this is my unknown here. Again, don't get confused. This is the kind of problem where I have the total, I have the percentage, and I just want to know what percentage of the total that is. So this line can remain empty. So if I take the cross product here, what I'm going to get is 100x needs to be equal to 9 times 500,000. Let's solve that. 100x needs to be equal to 9 times 500,000. So 100x needs to be equal to 4,500,000. And if I do this division, I just cut off 2 zeros. What I'm left with is x equals 45,000. So my answer should be 45,000. 45,000 people are unemployed. All right, let's move on to problem 4. Problem 4 says the population of a country went from 8 million to 10 million over the past 2 years. By what percentage did it increase? So what we know is that the population originally was at 8 million. And after a few years, it ended up being 10 million. We want to know by what percentage did it change? So our unknown is here. Again, we have this same problem that we had yesterday, where sometimes you don't have everything on the same line. So here 108 million are on the same line, great. But x and 10 million are not, so I can't take this cross product. Can't take this cross product. That would give me a wrong answer because x and 10 million are not in the same line. So I need to fill in this line. I need to find what's here. And here is the difference between these two, between beginning and end. It started from 8 million and ended up to 10 million. So the difference between 8 million and 10 million is 3 million. And now I have things that are on the same lines. So now I can take this cross product. 100 times 2 million needs to be equal to 8 million times x. Let's solve that. 8 million x needs to be equal to 2 million. Let's get the zeros right. Times 100. Wait, that times needs to be fixed. Now, so you don't confuse it with this x. So 8 million x needs to be equal to 200 million. Yeah, we did that correctly? Yeah, we did. We added 2 zeros. And now I can do this division. X is equal to, basically, since this has 6 zeros, I can just consider these zeros as non-existent. So what I have to do basically is 200 divided by 8. 200 divided by 8 is 25. So my answer should be that the population increased by 25%. Let's actually fix this. Perfect. So that's all for today. I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Have a good day.